Good morning, Shine, or actually good afternoon, good evening, Shine Campus. I hope you guys are doing good. Um, so it feels fresh like morning, like it's time to get on with our day and get it rolling. So we will. One of the things I was thinking about is for people who are just tuning in, just to kind of do a little education piece on what Shine Campus is, real quick. So Shine Campus is our opportunity to love on people who are struggling with different aspects of their life. And so relationship is a popular one, but so is money, so is work things, and so are other things like depression, anxiety, and all the other um, hardships that may come to us mentally, emotionally. So the goal is for us to be able to give tools that will be helpful, have conversations that will be helpful to lead to something else. And so we'll continue to do that on Shine Campus here. Every week I have Sunday Strength. Plus, there is a membership that you can sign up for and get access to those things and more. We also have a marriage masterclass that we do, and that is ongoing. And if you're interested in that, please go to theshinecampus.com and find it there. All right, so today I wanted to talk about dates that you wish you could erase. And so, depending on where you're at in life, maybe if you are in the dating stages of your life, you think that that would be the direction that we're going, but it has nothing to do with dating, like romantic dates. What I'm talking about is calendar dates. Um, and in our life that we have that bring up hard memories. And so for some of us, we either are aware of the actual date where something hard has happened in our life, or our body is aware of it. And so um, during that time, a lot of times for people who have this date, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You can get into a funk. You can get into feeling differently, and even if you forget about the date yourself, your body oftentimes can remember, and before you know it, you can be in an unpleasant feeling or space emotionally and having a hardship without even realizing what's going on. Um, and then for the people who are aware of the dates coming up, it a lot of times kind of can fuel us shutting down and really having a hard time with the world and with what's going on around us. And so there are, I mean, I know that a lot of people have these situations, less of a, sometimes we are aware of it, sometimes we're not. But what should happen in these moments? How does that, like, how do we get through it? What's going on? What's happening? So I'll tell you, the first thing that's actually happening is if you have a date where you've had a traumatic or a hardship or a hard thing happen, that you can remember, or that your body can remember, your body will have a recall. And sometimes that recall is connected to the weather patterns, the time of season, what's going on with that situation, um, different events that may start triggering your body's memory of, like, oh shoot, this is when X, Y, and Z happened, and it was hard for us, and it's going to be hard for us again. And so that's kind of your body's useful way of letting you know, like, hey, a hard thing is coming. Now, the hard thing about that is that usually a hard thing is not coming, only that hard thing happened already, but our body still remembers it. And so as that's going on, um, um, our body doesn't really differentiate between what's real and what has happened already. And so it kind of is up to us to be more aware. And so I think that that's probably the starting point. If we're going to change out of it and we try to figure out, okay, well, what should I do? I think the first thing is you got to give yourself permission to feel what it is that's hard, so it's not automatically a thing that says, like, oh, because I have this feeling around a certain date, that I need to have I need to get rid of it. It needs to feel better. I don't think that that's true. I think your body has a course and it's letting you know, and we could be respectful of that scenario. You might be able to, in your mind, think like, if you can get to this place, you might think, man, I actually want to have a different feeling during this time. Like I don't, I'm okay with having a different kind of outcome or energy during this moment. And not all of us will be at that point, but let's say that you're at that point where you say, like, I actually want to have a different energy around this hardship time. So what do I do? And what we do is versus that respect idea that I'm talking about, like respect your body's way of doing things, but then we can start creating different scenarios that can start telling a new story in our lives for that time. Okay. And so we could actually add on to, and so I'll use myself. So recently I had a date pass by where um, it was the anniversary date of my brother's death, and so what is the, if I can catch it in time, what would be the answer to being able to resolve that? Well, automatically my body kind of hit hard. If I would have caught it in time and could be more aware in that moment, then I can actually create interactions around that. So you'll see people sometimes go to the graveside and do a visit, or you'll see people um, start writing letters at that time, or being able to journal, or and it really depends because it's not always a death thing. Sometimes it is an infidelity thing where there's something hard that's happened into your in your marriage, or it is a loss of friendship scenario where um, you and your friend got into argument, haven't spoke since. Like there's different kinds of scenarios that happen, but you can give yourself a chance to build that picture differently that your body has recollection of. And so that's the real important piece here is, how do I build a new image for my body to have a different kind of reaction on? And so that adds to it. The one thing I don't want to do is take away. And so it's really hard to say, like, hey, just try to forget about what it is. And that's not the goal of creating a new picture, because there is no such thing as forgetting. Like our body always will remember what has happened. But we can add on to the imagery and talk about the strengths and build the strengths that maybe have come out of those scenarios, if any. Okay. And so um, being able to add the picture or the visualization or the idea of, okay, what do I want to put onto this scenario so that I can feel and experience this situation differently, is a huge deal. Okay, so that's one side of the traumatic piece of it. But then in your world, in the people around you, there has to be some kind of information source or some kind of um, um, filter that you can help them to have. So don't be afraid to give out information about what's going on for you in these moments. Well, and the reason is because a lot of times if you make a shift, or if the things are hard in your lifetime, people will notice that, but they won't necessarily know how to deal with it. And a lot of times, whenever you're different, people around you um, get afraid and are having a hard time because of that scenario. And so, the most important part is, as much as possible, communicate what it is that you can communicate, so that you can get the support versus being separate or isolated by yourself. Okay, all these things that I'm talking about are kind of on your own timeline and when you're ready, because everybody's going to have a different process for dealing with the hardship that they've dealt with in life. The most important thing is that you recognize, look, my body's going through something on the date that, or close to, or around the timeline of what has happened. And I need to be mindful of that scenario as much as possible and allow my body to do what it's going to do, as far as whether it's grief or frustration or needing rest or whatever it is. Allow that to happen, and then be willing to listen to your body to figure out what the next scenarios are. And two big things that I think will be helpful is, if you can, one is create the relationships around you that can help you, and then two, if you can get to a point where you can really observe and stack on more pictures that will help with that hardship or that hard situation. So I think those things will be really useful to you guys, to being able to deal with things that come to you that are hard, that have already happened, right? So when that hardship happens in this holidays or during the holidays, it's there's times full of that. Every, for the most part, we send this picture out in the world that um, that the holidays are this amazing thing, but for so many people, the holidays are not this amazing thing, and they're going through hardships, and um, just the mere like interactions of what the holidays are creates a hardship for some people. And so, I guess on that end of things, if we're outside of um, that person, or maybe we don't have that experience, it's a good idea for us to be able to check in and see what's going on and really